episode of Building Families in the Faith. I am Brian Johnson. This is my gorgeous wife, Rebecca, and we are pleased that you are with us. We've been speaking about child rearing for a little while now, and I'd like to get back to the reminders of the family itself, the marriage itself.
Right, because we've gone through infancy and now our children are heading off to school. This can be a very difficult time emotionally for parents, particularly when it's the first child. By the time it's your third, you could care less. But and of course, if you homeschool as we did, it's not quite so dramatic because they're there with you all the time. But then again, you have another set of problems. So we want to really get back to, and we will continue with child rearing tips, but we want to remind you that the most important thing you can do in child rearing is have a strong marriage. Yeah.
We mentioned already, the main divorce times is around this time frame when you are sending your kids off to school, 7-year itch, as some would call it, and just a reminder to refocus and remember the priorities of the relationship of the family. Mm-hmm. God has given us relationship priorities, and of course right. The first one is with Him, each of us individually, and we're supposed to be teaching our kids also to have a relationship with God.
Right.
And then after our relationship with God, the second most important relationship you can have is in your marriage, is you and your spouse, and your children are after that. They are, of course, a key element, a very important part of the relationship and the priorities that God has given us. But the marriage is not the focus, but the more important one of the two.
Right.
We have to remember that we are rearing our children for them to leave the house. And as they're taking this first step and going off to school, as for some of you, and they will no longer be in the home the 24 hours a day, they'll only be in home a whole lot less than that now, is the first step of us as parents. It's a reminder to us that someday they're going to be out of the house completely,
right? And
it's going to be just me and her again.
Right. I want to point out what he said about your personal walk with God. A lot of parents, and there's nothing wrong with it, but they establish what they call the family altar, and it's a time where the family gathers together at the end of the day normally, or sometimes at the beginning of the day, depending on your family dynamics. But Dad reads the Bible, everybody prays, and to be quite frank, there's a real danger in that. And part of the danger of that, quote, family altar time, while there is nothing inherently wrong with it, is the fact that very often it becomes a substitute for a personal walk with God. So the only person reading Scripture is Dad. Mm-hmm. No one's paying attention, to be frank. I've been to many family altars, and the kids' minds are wandering, and Mom's thinking about what she's got to do, and nobody's really paying attention. There's fake praying, there's fake paying attention. And the only person who got anything, if anything, was Dad. So in order for you to have that strong marriage, you do have to have that walk with God. So even if your family has chosen family altar, do not in any way, shape, or form let that take the place of personal walk for you as adults, as the leaders of the home, or for your children. Right. This is not their personal devotional time, especially once your children can read, because we're talking about grade school age children now, and they should be learning to read. If your school system doesn't teach them to read, you've got a problem. But they need to learn to walk with God on their own. And you are the example. If you're not walking with God, your children definitely won't be walking with God. So do be careful, because that's a huge pitfall, both in marriage, in your personal walk with God. And if you're not close to God, you will not have a strong marriage. It's just the facts. It's just biblical fact there. So be careful.
Right. As the stronger relationship you have with your God, both of you, the stronger your relationship to each other will be as well. And it's important, even if you do have just you and your wife time together of devotions, and I think it's important to pray together. I think it's important to have things that will strengthen us together with Christ. It's crucial that we have an individual time with God as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And with that in mind, the altar mentality, it's the group, and also as a family, we do have a lot of things that you should do as a family, and you will strengthen the family unit. But there also has to be, even though you have children in the home now, you have to have that time apart. You and your spouse, and you need to strengthen your relationship by yourselves. Some people choose to have a date night,
Right.
and have a one time a week where they set apart to get away from the family and get away from others, and go have a date. Not against that at all, as long as it doesn't become a mandatory ritual
Right.
that you're just doing and you're not really strengthening your relationship. I'm all for having date nights and having time with your spouse. Now, the key part is not necessarily how you do this. If you have it once a week, where you specifically have it exactly the same time, same day. That's not my focus. My focus is the guarantee that you have a time with your spouse.
Right. Exactly.
That you can get away, depending on your dynamics as well. Some people are homebodies.
Yes.
My oldest son doesn't like getting out of the house, and there's nothing wrong with liking to be at home, and so if your time with your spouse is always at home, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you two are together and you two are strengthening your relationship. You're not, one's in the kitchen and one's in the front room, or one's in the bedroom and one's in the
working on the
garage,
computer.
or one's, that defeats the purpose, obviously. But we need to remember that to strengthen and to work on our relationships.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking too. We are homeschool parents, and we are also missionaries. We did not have the advantage of having a babysitter. We didn't have people we could trust to leave our children with once a week. So a lot of our personal time together was at home. But like he said, at home on purpose, not at home doing whatever, at home on purpose. When you have children in school, your life becomes exponentially busy. You think when you have that new baby, oh, my life just got so busy, I can hardly stand it. Wait till they get in school.
Especially if you're a homeschooler.
Right. If you are a homeschool parent, you're doing everything. You're with those kids 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are responsible for their education, and we will discuss this in another episode, but you better take it seriously and do it right. And so you're very invested in the children, and particularly the mother. Not so much dad as much as mom, which can really skew your focus and take your eyes off your marriage. If you have chosen to put your child in a Christian school, I will not advocate in any way, shape, or form going to public school of any sort. But if you've decided to put your child in a Christian school, activities. Oh my goodness, there's so many activities that are provided. And then on top of that, you have church activities. Your life becomes crazy busy. So you have to, on purpose, decide we're not going to let this marriage slip away.
Right.
You may find that at this point in juncture in life is when you have your biggest, most heated fights in your marriage. That is a real possibility.
Yes.
Because you're stressed, you're tired, you're overworked. Many times our priorities, without even realizing it, become skewed. Sometimes, sadly, we let our walk with God slip because we're busy doing good things.
Right.
And all of that leads to some pretty monumental brawls. Let's not beat around the bush. Sometimes a marriage will not be all smooth sailing, and there will be some pretty big fights that happen.
Yes.
You can't just give up on the marriage because you had a fight. That is so, this modern generation just throw everything away.
Right. We have to remember also that marriage is something, you grow in your marriage, and you things change. Before you got married, you started dating your spouse, and you studied her, or you studied him. You wanted to know what they were like. You wanted to know what they liked. And the whole process of courtship or dating, the whole process of getting to know each other strengthened your relationship together. A lot of people, after they get married, they stop that process.
Yes.
And what happens is that over time, we change. Over time, before I got married, when I was in high school, I loved playing sports. I loved playing volleyball, and I played 6 days a week. Before I met my wife, actually.
Things change.
But things change, exactly. I haven't played volleyball in I don't know how long now. It's not a priority of mine. It's not something that's high on my list. Whereas at that point it'd be something of interest to me. It no longer is. And in your relationship, if you don't continue to grow in your knowledge of each other, you don't continue to study each other, your mentality of what your spouse is like, your mentality of what your spouse enjoys, is back in college days.
Right.
And okay, the first 2 years, yeah, it's going to be the same thing. The third year, those kids start coming around. No, it's no longer the same mentality.
Exactly.
And you have to remember to relearn, or to always be learning, I guess, and never let go of learning her new desires, her new enjoyments, her new preferences. At one point in life, I had certain foods that were my favorites. Today, they're no longer my favorites. It just, everything can change. Now, some people have the same things, some of them, not all of them. We do keep some preferences sometimes and whatever. But as a couple, your kids have come around. You're been focused on a lot of other things now, and we forget to know who our mate is.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you forget and you are relearning, and all of a sudden something, it's funny how it just comes up out of the blue, and it's funny how it doesn't come up gently like, oh, I had no idea that you like this now instead of that. No, it comes almost in blows, like, what? Oh my word. And you do begin to argue. Look, the Bible says, let not the sun go down upon your wrath for a reason. Don't dwell on it, work it out. And I don't care if that means you stay up all night. We've had some very, very late nights in our past when there was some pretty heated arguments. Now, let me say this. As best as possible, we were certainly not perfect at this. Try not to argue in front of your children. Okay, look, we're human. It's going to happen. Apologize to your kids when it does. But as much as possible, try to take that in your bedroom. Now, kids aren't
behind closed doors.
Yeah, they know the minute that the door closed in the middle of the day and mom and dad are in there, something's happening. And it's funny how we, have these heated arguments, all whispery, so the kids wouldn't hear us, and like they didn't know what was going on. But take it privately and work it out. And that doesn't, if you have to stay up till the sun rises and you fought all night long, you just discussed it, do what you have to do, but resolve the situation. And can I say this? You may hit a point in your marriage where the two of you cannot resolve. There is absolutely nothing wrong with seeking professional help. Go see your pastor. Many pastors have studied neo-antithetical counseling, biblical counseling. Get to your pastor, ask him. Many pastors, if they haven't, they know someone who does. So get to a good biblical-based counselor. I'm not advocating a psychologist. I am talking about a biblically based counselor, and get help. Don't be so prideful and embarrassed that, oh my goodness, our marriage isn't perfect and someone's going to find out. Look, someone's going to find out anyway.
Yeah.
You're either going to end up divorced and everybody's going to know.
Yeah.
And you're going to destroy your children and yourself and your future blessings that could be had. Or one person's going to know. So go get the help. We did. We went and got godly biblical counseling at one point in our marriage where it was a really rough patch and we needed serious help. We couldn't fix it. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's really sad that we're too embarrassed to say that these days. And
part of the reason not only us, but many people can't fix their own issues is because they wait so long to resolve the issues.
True. Mm-hmm.
And you need to work, like I said, things get away from you if you're not careful.
Right.
And your differences will grow stronger and become worse and worse. And the sooner you resolve your issues, the more you know each other, the better you know each other, the more open you are with each other, the less of a risk. Not of not having fights, you'll have fights, but the less of a risk that you'll have these horrible things that are not resolvable by yourselves. So the sooner you resolve not only your anger yes, fix all your anger. Every fight you have, fix by dawn. Before you go to sleep. But you learn yourselves, your mate,
Right.
to where it's not, oh my goodness, she's so different than what she used to be. No, she's changed slightly. Yes, every day or every year she changes a little bit in every aspect. We all age. Our appearance is not what it used to be. I cannot say I look like I looked 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's
Um,
that.
but it's not just our physical appearance that changes over years. It's everything.
It's true.
And when you're with the person and that change physically is changing every day, although we don't notice it, the same thing is true with our likes and our personality. And as long as we're keeping up with each other, as long as we're striving to strengthen our relationship, we won't notice it because we're fixing the little issues, and they're not big surprises to us.
Right.
Whereas if we're so busy with the kids, or we're so busy with work, we're so busy with this and that, and we finally come face to face with the stranger that we haven't come to know, it can cause very, very big strife.
It can. And I want to say this too. When you are entering the school age with children, the intimate life suffers. And there's a couple of reasons. One, women can be absolutely terrified that they will get pregnant again, even if they are taking any kind of preventive measure against that. I'm not going to weigh in too much on that. I have my opinion on preventative measures. But I also understand that we, as women, need to make sure, because in this age category where the children are small, it's the women that turn it off, not the men. Make sure you stay physically, intimately active with your husband. This is vital. You need it more than you realize, and it will help you stay relaxed and calm more than you realize. Don't give the excuse, I'm tired, I have a headache, I'm busy. Knock it off. That's not an excuse. And when you feel God has given you the amount of children that He wants for you, you need to take care of your issues.
Both of you need to agree upon that, of course, but it does need to be something that you're aware of and talked about. Honestly, that'd be a good thing to be, even before you have children.
Yeah.
It'd be a good thing to be talking about how many kids you want, how many kids you think you can rear for the Lord, like we've taught.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, and be on the same page, so that when it does come around, I know wives who are bitter against their husband because the husband don't want any more kids, and they do. And there's a whole bunch of things that can be the reason behind that, but the truth of the matter is that that's something that you could have resolved a long time ago, or you should have at least talked about, and slowly over time at least be fixing. If one wants 10, one wants one. It could be over those years.
You need to talk about that. Yeah.
But anyhow, Corinthians does teach us that our body is not our own, and we need to be reminded often that the relationship is not about me. It's about our mate, and the relationship priority is, first of all, is God. Secondly is our mate.
Right.
Ourselves, we're last. We're below our kids. We're below other people. We're in last place. God uses us as a tool and a vessel, and we're supposed to have God in first and other people in focus. And the pride and the selfishness is something that we all do, creep into our relationships. But we need to keep this strong.
Yes.
We need to keep the marriage strong.
Right.
And that's a day-by-day occurrence. The longer you don't work on it, the weaker it becomes. And you don't notice it often, unfortunately, until it's almost divorces to some of them.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And that's certainly not what we want for you. We would love you to reach, like we have, 27 happy years, and we're thrilled to be married, and we hope that once your kids are out of the house, you too are thrilled to still be married to this person.
Yes. Well, work on your marriage, keep it strong, keep learning each other, and keep loving each other. Love is not just an emotion, it's not just a passion. There's a whole lot more to love than that, and love is an action that you're doing and showing to other people. So thanks for being with us for this episode of Building Families in the Faith. I hope you're with us next time. again as we continue to talk about the family, whether about a marriage or childbearing. God bless.